Welcome to episode number 33 of Profit or Loss, the series where I take faulty items from eBay, attempt to fix them and sell them for a profit. The goal of the series is to hit £1,000 in profit. Can we get a step closer today with today's items? Starting with this faulty Xbox One S console that looks like, it's been through the wars a little bit, but I purchased this for a total of £20. The issue is that there's no power at all, according to the listing. £20 for one of these consoles is extremely good. However, the listing does state there is no hard drive in it as well. Condition-wise, as I've stated, not so great, and we have quite a few marks on the front. I don't think I'll be able to use this chassis if I go and sell it. Straight off the bat, I can tell you that this button, the on button, doesn't on, as in there's no click. You can hear the click with the sync. There is no click with the on. It is just pure sponge. So imagine if that was our issue. For that reason and that reason alone, I'm not going to try and turn the console on as is. I'm just going to take the chassis off and push on the actual front of the daughter board, which is down here, so I can get a good contact on the button. Enough jibber jabber. Let's go down a little deeper. We are missing the actual button to turn it on, which is here. So I'm going to replace this board quickly to see if that is our issue. As the seller stated as well, no hard drive. Our replacement hard drive is ready also. I've only gone for a 500GB drive because the difference that it makes to the price of these is probably around about £5 to £10 when I sell it. Without having the actual hard drive plugged in, I'm just going to see if it powers on. It's very possible that we might have a different power on issue. It could be that the actual board, the motherboard, is dead. The new smaller PCB is fitted. On the conversation of PCBs, a massive thank you to today's sponsor, PCB Way. PCB Way are PCB specialists. From creating your own personal PCB, various sizes, different colors, and complete customization, to sharing a project that you've created, PCB Way has it all. Leave comments on other people's projects, or even download the Gerber files left by the author to give it a go yourself. PCB Way pride themselves on customer service with the help of their live chat function. Simply click on the chat bubble at the bottom of the screen so they can help you with any of your PCB needs. Check out the link in the description for a $5 welcome bonus. Okay, moment of truth. Do we actually get any power in this or not? Here we go. No, we don't. Okay. This just got a lot more interesting, I guess. No power at all. No beep, nothing. Is it potentially just a bad power supply? We have the power supply plugged in. Multimeter is in DC voltage. Do we get 12 volts? Yes, we do. Power supply is good. Do we have a 12 volt short on the board itself? Just check in here. No, we don't. This side is negative. Left side should be positive. Yeah, we don't have a short. Okay, wait, hold on. So we don't have power to the console at all, but we don't have a short on the 12 volt line. I don't think I've ever had that with an Xbox One S. Let's head on over to the microscope and see what's going on. Let's just double check I was getting a good enough connection. Wait a minute, that seems really far down. Why does that seem so far down? Oh, look how far this connector is from the board. Look at that, it's like the Grand Canyon. Is that why it's no power? Because the power supply isn't going down far enough? Can I just push this back? I had to do it off microscope, but that is much better. Okay, was that our issue? I've never had that before. Do we at least get a beep now? Yes. Okay, that was why this wasn't working, because someone has obviously taken it apart before. I need to turn this off. Someone has taken this apart before, pulled up on this connector, and obviously made it very, very loose. They've gone to put it back together and they've gone, oh, it's not working. That would be why. I was about to be really thrown off when we didn't have any beep or anything when you push the button, because a 12 volt short would usually cause that. And then not having a 12 volt short, I was like, now what? Well, I guess I quickly then just change out the thermal paste. There are some marks that I can see on the actual die itself. That might not be good. Also might be okay, but again, it's tough to say until we give it a test. But can you see that? Look, I can't scrape them off either. I've tried a lot of IPA and stuff, but I don't want to push too hard with this. Oh, you can scrape it off. Ignore me. That looks a bit better. Nice. I have checked that this hard drive is okay, and it should be alright for us to format OSU 1 to the drive. Before I start getting excited and putting everything back together, this is what we have at the moment. A, does it power on? B, do we get a display to the TV? Here we go. I have to be super careful. We get power, we get a white light. I don't know if you can see it at the front. The white light stays on. It's perfect. That's what we need. Do we get a fan spin? Didn't plug the fan in. Nice. I'd love to tell you that's the first time I've ever done that, but I've done it countless times. Does it turn on? It does. Fans are going. The light's on. Does it really go now? There we go. Do we get anything on the display? Come on. Yes, that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see E106. Now we can format our drive with OSU 1. The green bar's moving. It should now reset and go onto another screen. Okay, sweet. Nice. I'll wait for the update to be done. I'll get back to you and let you know after I've done some testing with disk drive, etc., whether or not this Xbox works. Cross your fingers for me, because we really, really need the luck this week. Alright, we're back. Ask me what's just happened. When I went to install the OSU1 file, I didn't have the disk drive attached, so it failed at about 60% or so, which it should do. After I then finished the update completed, the Xbox turned on, then it turned off. And now look what we're presented with. Let's turn it on. White light, and it turns off. You've got to be joking me. This is now a beep on, beep off? How? Without having the power connected, I'm just going to take everything out to the point where I'm not even going to have the fan plugged in, and now I'm going to see what happens. It's beep on, beep off. I don't understand. There's plenty of thermal paste. It's not an overheating issue. I know that for sure. I'll even take it out of the chassis. Okay, so there's nothing plugged into this other than the power supply and the front I/O board. If I go to turn it on, it just doesn't turn on. For argument's sake, I'll change the power supply and I'll change the I/O board. What happens now? Just beep on, beep off. I can't believe it. One that I thought was going to be simple has now turned into this, and I guarantee I'm not going to be able to find the fault with this. I can't actually make sense of it either, because if it was a hard drive issue, because we maybe had a faulty drive or even a disk drive, then in theory, once they're removed, we shouldn't have this issue. So I'm just so confused. What's super interesting is that I get an initial fan spin. Like sometimes with a beep on, beep off, most cases the fan doesn't even spin up, so we're getting power to the fan. I'm going to get the heat cam out and see if anything is getting ridiculously hot that might be causing like a short or something. Honestly, the only way that I know I'm going to really make a profit on eBay at the moment is if I buy something that's like a no display or something that I would deem easier to fix. No powers and beep on, beep off, so getting more and more difficult for whatever reason. I thought they'd get easier, to be honest. Okay, the flare camera is active and on. This is my hand down the bottom, which is showing loads of heat. I'm going to push to the button, power on, and see if anything gets hot. Here we go. Pushing it now. Nothing at all. South bridge, little, like tiny piece of heat. But I guess maybe the south bridge isn't activating. Maybe we have a bad south bridge on this board. But no RAM is getting warm, so it can't be faulty RAM, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong with that, but nothing is getting hot at all. Let's check for voltages when we got the power in. So I'm going to ground this lead here. Do we get 1.1 standby? Yes, we do. Do we get 1.8 standby? Yes, we do. Do we get 3.3? Yes, we do. And do we get 5? Yes, we do. So we don't have a short on any of the power rails. Now we're going to check South Bridge. This is South Bridge 1.1, but you can only test this when you push the power button. So I'm going to push the power button now. It doesn't get up to 1.1. You see it goes up to like 58 millivolts. Let's try 1.8 as well. Yeah, it's not. The South Bridge isn't initializing, and the South Bridge here is a really, really big chip. I wouldn't feel comfortable changing it without at least a board heater to help me heat from underneath the board. It's a BGA, a ball grid array, which means there's tiny little solder balls underneath it. So I'm just gonna have to, unfortunately, write this board off, which is super annoying. Maybe that's what the fault was originally, which is why the person who sold it was trying to fix it. They took the console apart. They might have been having intermittent issues with the Xbox, just randomly shutting off or something like that. So they tried to investigate it a bit. Then they pulled up on the power connector, which is why it was no power, and now that we've got it up and running, it applied the update, and then South Bridge has just gone, see you later, Joey. I'm not going to work anymore for you. Unfortunate, but that is just the way that the cookie crumbles. Let's move on to item number 2. Xbox One S number 2, I paid a total of £25 for. The idea behind this is that I wasn't going to spend too much today in the hopes that I, A, wouldn't lose too much, and B, I'd actually make a bit of a profit. Can we do that with this one? This one is a beep on, beep off, which, as we know from previous videos, is not the best fault to have with an Xbox One S. Giving it a little test to see what happens. Okay. Listing doesn't actually say whether it's been opened or not, but it's quite loose. So I'm going to go, yeah, it's definitely been opened before. Okay. All right. Condition-wise, it's all right. It's okay. It's not too bad. Quite a bit of dirt in the holes, but nothing on some of the stuff that I've worked on before. Let's take it apart, get it down to motherboard level, and see what's going on. I can tell you it's definitely been opened because these screws have been probably drilled back, I would say. That's how tight they are. Every single one as well. This is also a very, very dusty one. And when I say very dusty, I mean like disgustingly dusty. It is a 1 terabyte from what I can make through the dust. Let's. I'm going to have to give this a quick clean. I've already done majority of the tests off camera because I didn't want to drag you guys through the same as what I did with the first console. But I have the exact same symptoms on this one. Over to the flare cam now, pressing the power button. Nothing seems to be getting hot at all. I've tested all the standby rails, all absolutely fine, except for the South Bridge. I'm on the 1.1 here. I go to push the power button, and it jumps up, as you can see, very, very slightly. 28 millivolts, 67, which is exactly the same as what was happening with the first one. I've measured around a few other chips as well, for example the NCP chip, the HDMI retimer IC. I do get a reading on the actual retimer IC of only 1.2K. This should be around about 4 to 5K, especially when you remove that chip, that's what it will show as. But I've had that on a few boards now. I'm starting to think, is it normal with the TDP 159s? Because this is what is on this console as a 159, not a 158. If we look at the caps that are just above the RAM ICs, you can see that we have around about a reading of 42 ohms, which I believe is normal. Doesn't mean that one can't be faulty, as we know. I'm actually very tempted just to change out the retimer IC as well as the NCP power management IC to see if that does anything, because if it does, I can also revisit the board that we were just with. A tip to people that were just getting into this, I would say just avoid the beep on, beep off Xboxes. Personally, the success rate with them is ridiculously lower than any other fault with the machine. Let's head on over to the scope and just give it a try. Other than the fact that I have nothing else to try, the reason why I'm taking this off is because a lot of people tell me that even the beep on, beep offs can be caused by the retimer. Bit of flux as standard, lowering that melting temperature, mixing the unleaded with leaded, the 158. And again, if I just measure on here now in resistance mode, yeah, we have 4.3K. Rotate the board to make my life easier. Give it the old press and hold. Flux, this is all solder from underneath the IC from when I put it on the ground. How are we looking? Yeah, looking good. Clear out that flux. How's our soldering looking? Nice and dandy. Yeah, good. What reading do we get? 3.6K, but the board is obviously still a little bit hot. So that has quite obviously changed the reading, etc. I'm just looking at this little NCP chip, and it does look a little bit worse for wear, hey? Some of those pads look a little bit burnt. I'm going to use the toothbrush. Might be the lighting. That top of that cap looks a little bit rusty. The readings around it look okay though, but it doesn't look fantastic, the IC itself, does it? Let's quickly test with just the retimer and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Straight off. Straight off. I'll change out the power management IC and see if that makes a difference. Almost identical procedure, by the way, as the retimer. Clear up some of this flux. It looks really burnt. Are these pads here connected to where they should be? Yeah, they are. Okay, they're fine. They just didn't look it. Don't know if this chip is even good or not. This is pulled from a donor, so we're about to find out. Or not, because it, again, might not be the issue that we have. I had to swap tips there. Nice. Quick checkity check to make sure we're all good. Yep. And final side. Yep. Alright, what happens? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. I'll put the heatsink on as well just to see if the fan actually spins. Yeah, fan spins. It won't be shutting off that quick due to overheating. So exactly the same issue as the first one. I think it's a Southbridge issue. I'll be taking that retimer back because they're expensive. One last check around this. Okay, I mean, the RAM IC doesn't look that great, does it? It's coated with a lot of... I don't know if that's liquid damage or whether it's just dirt. I think... it's just dirt. A nice little clean. Had issues with this IC in the past with beep on, beep off. Oh, it looks like we might have damage around here, actually. Hold on a second. That is quite badly damaged. It's really badly damaged. Let me get this chip off, and we'll have a look at the actual pads underneath. Okay, might be onto something. Let's run our iron over the pads. It's already got a little bit of solder on, I think. Wow. Yeah, these are ridiculously oxidized. Maybe we found our issue. If I had an ultrasonic cleaner, this would be it going in and clearing the corrosion that we have around here. I wonder if that's the same with the other Xbox then. It'd be good to find out. Those who have stayed to this point in the video, we might actually be onto something. Okay, so testing with continuity. Oh, I can't see where they go, to be honest. This one I can. That one goes there. So does that one. Most of these pads I'm going to assume are okay. These ones I'm a little bit, I wouldn't even say concerned, they don't look great, do they? Just scraping with our tweezers here. Getting rid of all of that. Maybe this is the cause of our issue. That pad's coming off, but I think it's because I'm vigorously dealing with it. I'm going to take what I think is a known good one. This one here. I think aligning with the dot, etc. Pin 1 is over this way. We're going to get a lot of squeezage here. But it's good because we need to make sure there's plenty of solder on these pads. How are we looking? Are we looking connected? We are that side. We are that side. Power, nothing exploded. That's good. I've waited a minute or two for it to cool down, so it should be alright temperature wise. Let's see what happens. In 3, 2, 1. Exactly the same thing. So I think, again, we're just going to call this one here. We've tried a bunch of things. My money is still personally on Southbridge, and it's just a shame that we share the same fate of the two boards. Again, just trying to be as transparent and realistic as I can with everybody. Again, updating Sally as -45 for both of the Xboxes, hanging on with dear life to the profit of £116.61. Thank you so much for watching. Last week's episode is up here. Hopefully we can turn our luck around. Like the video if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.